What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're taking a look at a Shoutcast here in the Ultra League featuring the newly buffed Shadow Dusknoir. Now, this trainer, Julio MC02, sends in these battles. Thank you, trainer, for the Shoutcast submission. Trainers, if you'd like to send in your own battles to the channel for Shoutcast, you can do so in the pinned description. Or pinned comment description, we have a link to a Google form you can fill out. We're backing up the Shadow Dusknoir with an Alolan Muck and a Nidoqueen here. Now, as far as these Pokemon go, they can all be Shadow, they can all be not Shadow. It's kind of a preference thing if you want to use this team. You could use like Drapion or Skuntank in place of the Muck or Nidoqueen as well if you like. So let's get into these games here and just check out Shadow Dusknoir in action here in this Ultra League meta. We're going to get into the first battle here, and we are going to have a Clefable. Not an amazing lead for us. It's really pretty neutral here, but looks like Julio's going to opt to send in the Muck here right off the bat, as they do have two better answers in the back. Now, opponent is threatening that Moonblast. They go for the Meteor Mash here. Maybe they were just going for the Meteor Mash anyway, but we're gonna have a Dark Pulse fired off here by the Monk. Now there's the problem here with, normally you would not expect Giratina to be a solid response to this. However, because this is Dragon Breath Giratina altered, it does have the ability to put a lot of fast move pressure on these dark types that would normally do very, very well against it. Now, Julio's building up some extra energy, maybe trying to get two moves in here. Does not shield here, that's all right. Gonna go ahead and probably send back in the Dusknoir. Hopefully that was the hardest answer to the Nidoqueen, and he gets the perfect farm down with 4 Astonishes, and in comes a Feraligatr. Feraligatr, Shadow Claws are ripping through the Dusknoir. Dusknoir is pretty glassy here. It's not, even though it's an XL Pokemon, it's not particularly bulky here. So Julio's gonna be investing his first shield. You really need to get the Dusknoir here to get rid of this Feraligatr. Quite honestly, this is the best case scenario too, because in the back you can just put the Nidoqueen on the Clefable, which is a very dominantly good matchup, and the opponent has invested both shields. Can we get the Shadow Punch? We save the Shadow Punch for later, but that's going to be fine here because the bulk on Nidoqueen, much unlike the Dusknoir here, Nidoqueen can tank these moves. A couple Meteor Mashes, no problem, and we can get up to 2 Poison Fangs and look to try and unload the energy here into the Feraligatr, saving that shield for the Dusknoir to finish things off with the Shadow Punch that it has stored. So full farm down, never mind. We're going straight in. We're going to go for the Earth Power. That's it. Send it, Julio. Get it in. We're going straight to town. First game.
Boom!
Oh, it doesn't even knock out. Are you kidding me? Oh, man. Shields, though, gets the Poison Jab through. That will take the knockout on the Gator, and that's going to be a good game. Now, personally, I think Nidoqueen is kind of okay. It would do very well against this Magnezone, however, in the lead we find in the next game. But I'm always a preference. I always put preference to just using Shadow Nidoqueen, personally. Now, this is a bit of an awkward switch in here, and I can see why. Like, there's no real benefit to staying in and getting all that energy for later. Although we do get some fast move damage in on the Drapion, and now that Muck can basically resist all of this energy, it does help the matchup, but it just you know, hopefully, I mean, look, there's no safe way to deal with Drapion on this team, so hopefully this works out in the end, because I can see that this is a very awkward thing for this team to handle. That extra fast move pressure, what that actually allows Julio to do here is come in with the Muck, absorb some of the energy, and be able to get rid of the Drapion in a little bit less of a convincing way, but certainly in a bit, you know, it still works. So also, I would probably opt not to go for the Acid Spray in that particular matchup, only because you really do just want to get rid of the Drapion before it can cause more problems. But now we do have the Dusknoir and the Nidoqueen here. We can put the Nidoqueen on the Weezing, and this is a very good matchup for Nidoqueen, as again, we are resisting all of the Fairy type damage from Fairy Wind and forcing the opponent just go for that Brutal Swing. And the opponent really can't safely swap out of Nidoqueen here, because you have the Poison Fangs loaded, and Poison Fang just complicates things for the opponent. Plus, I mean, Nidoqueen just completely walls this. Now, there's a point to be made here, like maybe you just go for the Earth Power. The opponent probably does shield here, right? They do want to get rid of this Nidoqueen, but personally, I would half expect the opponent to probably no shield, maybe call a bait. So I don't know, it just like it's again, it's like that safe bait versus, you know, making sure you get the guaranteed damage of the shield. Going for the Earth Power is the safe play here. Poison Fang is just risky, but that Shadow Punch is going to do a ton of damage, and I think Nidoqueen can just probably come in and farm down here. Opponent's going to go for that Wild Charge. That's going to take out the Dusknoir.
Boom!
And the opponent is going to go down to this. And there's the Earth Power flying out from this Nidoqueen. Out goes the Earth Power. That's going to take out the opponent's Weezing, and they still have a little bit left of the Magnezone, which is going to come in and go down to a Poison Fang here. This is where you throw the Poison Fang when there's, like, no health left. There you go. Good game. Well played. See, but that's one of the things, right? Like, so I immediately saw, ooh, not a great lead here. We're gonna go straight into the muck, I imagine. I immediately saw that Drapion as a problem, and Julio played around it very well. That's one of the things, like, just because something looks good into your team as in general does not mean that you can't beat it if you just use some sort of, like, you know, a team, I would say team strategy, but, like, you just want to use a team effort to try and get rid of it, right? So getting the fast move damage on the Dusknoir with the Dusknoir here was going to allow Julio to be able to go for just, you know, come in with a muck and just start to absorb the energy and be able to put that pressure on. But now we're gonna have a Skeleturge in this next game after throwing that Acid Spray. See, here's the thing with the Acid Spray in that situation too, and this is why, like, Acid Spray is like one of those moves where it's like I just want to, like, I want to rip my I want to rip my glasses off and just, like, oh, every time I shield an Acid Spray. But here's the reality though with Acid Spray, right? Like, so you throw it in the lead, the opponent, like, you're trying to get some chip damage in, but, like, the opponent can just swap out and clear that debuff. So you almost are better off just going for the Dark Pulse in that lead with the Mandibuzz. But we have Typhlosion in this game here. The opponent running a double Incinerate strategy. I think I respect that a lot. The opponent trying to go for a snipe play with the Mandibuzz, but in comes the Nidoqueen to absorb the Dark Pulse here, and that is going to let Nidoqueen start setting up to go for the Poison Fang, Poison Jab combo here that is so very well known for, at least it used to be, right? And really that, I mean, you could even get, if you can get, oh, almost time. So you want to be going on for 4 there. Maybe we're trying to CMP tie the opponent here, but you definitely want to be going for the 1, 4, 7 into these Snarls from Mandibuzz. Throwing on 1, 4, or 7 Poison Jabs for that timing. So now quickly swapping in here, and now the opponent's basically going to have 2 shields on this Mandibuzz. I don't know how well this is going to go for Julio, but let's see what happens. Getting a free Astonish through here is nice, as I think that now you just allow this Dusknoir to farm down here. And honestly, there's a chance as long as that Mandibuzz isn't at a move. Do they shield this? Do they not shield this as a bait? Surely this is a bait. Shield it. They don't shield it. No, that's crazy, dude. Oh, and they don't shield it, and it wins Julio the game. That's incredible. Oh, I need to talk about that for a minute. Yo, y'all know, all right. Baiting is a thing that everybody has been known to do, but sometimes when you're in a situation where you think the opponent might try to call that bait, you should just, you literally, like, if your only win condition normally is to get a bait and you think the opponent might know that and no shield, you could even try to go 5-head and try to just throw the nuke, and hopefully the opponent doesn't shield it. That's exactly what happened in this game. It was a very nice game won by Julio here with that call. But of course, you know, if you get it wrong, either way, you're going to lose anyway. So, I mean, you may as well try to get it right, right? There's no guaranteed consistent way to make that work. But nice try to catch the Brutal Swing here on the muck, and in comes a Feraligatr. Now, this is maybe a situation, though, where you could consider going for Acid Sprays. The opponent's Feraligatrs almost always shield everything, but in this case, I guess they just don't. And the opponent takes that Dark Pulse, perhaps maybe thinking it could have been an Acid Spray, but now the muck is going to be able to Poison Jab down and win switch advantage here if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's going to be necessary, but it's definitely, you know, it's always something nice to have in a game. The opponent decides not to shield. They just go down, no shield spent at all here, and in comes the Skeleturge. Can we get to a move? We can get to a move. Oh no, you should have gone for the Dark Pulse, no! So maybe, he probably wasn't sure he was gonna get to the Dark Pulse there, but absolutely would have got to that Dark Pulse against the Skeleturge here. Now, unfortunately, Dusknoir is in a weird position where it has to shield and there's energy on the Skeleturge, and Nidoqueen's really not incredibly well poised to deal with a Skeleturge unless the opponent hard swaps in their XehrFelrose and allows Nidoqueen to come in and fully farm this thing down, as it's very, very dominantly good into electric types, having that ground typing. And Poison Jab is just such a good fast move as far as damage is concerned that you do just get to farm down the entire XehrFelrose here and hopefully save that shield for the Dusknoir to finish up the game later. Brutal Swings doing enough to make you sweat, but no, we have to throw the move anyway, unfortunately. But that's okay, because I think that the damage that comes out from this Nidoqueen is going to be, you know, it's going to be forcing the opponent's hand here. If they go for a Disarming Voice, it's not going to be enough. You might be able to get shields. The opponent does decide to bait, and Julio goes for the move immediately. No, trainer, you never do that. Never go. All right, so respectfully, because I'm trying to use this as a way to kind of teach people, right? So you always want to make sure, right? We're gonna win this game because that Astonish snuck through. But there's so if we go back and look at this game, there's at least two opportunities here where move timing can be kind of critical, right? The first one was going to be when we threw that acid spray into the Skeletor's when we could have gotten to the Dark Pulse. Again, it's very tight timing. I can totally understand, you know, maybe not thinking you're going to get to the Dark Pulse, so just going for the acid spray to be safe. Get that. But in this case, where you always want to, you know, try to avoid just throwing a charge move right away outside of a fast move, unless both of your, or throwing a charge move right after another charge move, unless you and your opponent have the same fast moves, speed or turns, right? So in this case, we got to let a whole Incinerate through, whereas the best case, you know, even the next worst case here was Julio goes for one Astonish and then the move. That would have been the ideal situation to do here, because that would have allowed the opponent to at least have to take some damage and give the Dusknoir some energy in order to get that Incinerate through. A free Incinerate is almost the worst thing you could ever do in this game, just because of how much damage and energy it gives. But good game here. All right, getting into the next battle, we got Dusknoir versus Feraligatr. This is nasty, bro. So Feraligatr definitely, like, I would certainly say that, like, if you see a lot of Feraligatrs, which are fairly common this season, I would say, you could certainly opt to maybe try something that's not Nidoqueen, right? That's entirely a preference thing, right? Like, clearly, like, Julio, like, Nidoqueen likes, you know, is very good here. Julio likes the Nidoqueen on this team, and I don't think it's bad. I just want to say that, like, you know, it's a preference thing based on what you're seeing, right? Because, you know, Julio's going to see some different stuff at this point in the season than maybe you see today or tomorrow, right? So, you know, maybe the Drapion or the Skuntank would work better in general for this team. But now we are going to see the Nidoqueen come in, unfortunately, here, showing off the rest of the team here, as the opponent does have a very, very strong team so far into this Shadow Dusknoir. But Shadow Dusknoir, you know, even though its damage is resisted here, would have done, it still does a lot of damage. So, see what the opponent decides to do here. They're going to come in with a Talonflame, and Talonflame, yeah, this is, I don't know that this is going to be a win here, but we'll see. Going for that Poison Fang, the opponent does not respect the damage here, and unfortunately not able to swap out and preserve the energy. Now, opponent lets a free move here go through as they throw right away. They do have energy. Going to go for that Flame Charge, and I think this is pretty much done and dusted. Is unless Dusknoir is getting a full farm down here, that would be kind of crazy. I'm going to be honest. We're going to see him go for the Shadow Punch. They shield up the Talonflame. Talonflame's going to go for a move. Are they at 2 moves? Because if they're not, this could be dangerous. No, it's going to go for the Fly. The opponent swapping into the... Never mind. Swapping into the Feraligatr. Feraligatr doesn't need to go for Hydro Cannon. That's going to be curtains for this Dusknoir, unfortunately. This is, yeah, I would say that was a pretty awkward team comp anyway for this team, but very well done. Next team, we have another Clefable in the lead. We're going to see this. So it looks like we're going to go for the one Astonish and then swap out here. And then we're going to see the Muck try and just get some poison jabs in. Now, the thing is though, even though that you have 2 better answers in the back and it's better to swap out. So there's a Feraligatr. Wait a minute. Have we seen this before? No, there's no way we've seen this before. Going for that Dark Pulse here. Dark Pulse is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. Again, the opponent just deciding not to shield it whatsoever. No, right. Remember the last time we saw this happen, the Muck was much healthier. Didn't take a move. We're going to shield and farm it down here. Hydro Cannon coming through and going to go straight for that Acid Spray. The defense drop, I think, should allow the Muck to fully farm down. Never mind before they get to another move, but I guess not. But that's okay, because now this is going to allow Dusknoir to get some energy. And because Clefable does not wall the energy of the Dusknoir, that actually is a good thing here, except where a Drapion comes in, and the Drapion just gets to be like, what's up, bro? I'm a dark type. Get your ghost types out of here. So now we're going to have to, I mean, the opponent's in a very, very difficult position here, as they can't really bring in their Clefable to this situation because it's Nidoqueen, right? So as long as Julio can sort of manage this Nidoqueen and get rid of a lot of this Drapion, I think Dusknoir could do pretty well here. I do believe that Dusknoir also had a move loaded as well, so if it can get that Shadow Ball, I'm pretty sure from even this range, a Shadow Ball might actually be enough to knock out So the opponent looks to try and swap in here, and Julio's going to see it, react very quickly. Very nice response time here to get the Shadow Punch off. The opponent out of, or still has a shield here, but they look to have stopped tapping, and you know what? No, the game just decides it's going to lag, and oh my goodness, I hate that dude. Oh. Just fix your game, Niantic, please. Please fix your game. And that's going to allow them to get to a move. That is very unfortunate. However, I could now see that potential. Wait, the Meteor Mash doesn't knock out. That's huge. Can you get to the Shadow Ball? No, we go for the Shadow Punch. Oh, no. Yeah, I think you have a move left on the Nidoqueen, though, so you could combo play here, potentially. Go, get them. Oh, my goodness. The Poison Stings are doing nothing. We get to the Shadow Punch anyway. It's going to take out the Trapeon. I had no idea what was going to happen here, but we take it. Good game. All right, that's it. Huh? There's a what? Let's roll out a Alolan Golem. Okay, bet. All right, Alolan Golem in this next game here, and Dusknoir is gonna have to stay in. The Muck does not, like, Nidoqueen does very well in this matchup, but only by the fact that it has Earth Power. Poison Jab is resisted by the Golem, and the opponent goes for the Wild Charge. They come in with a Venusaur. Okay, you just go for the Shadow Punch here. I like this play. You could chip and then go into the Muck here. And then we can see the Muck is just going to wall the energy of the Venusaur, and it's coffee time. Peppermint Mocha is the best coffee creamer flavor, and you cannot change my mind. Frenzy Plant not doing a whole lot here, and you're going to be able to go for a Dark Pulse. This Venusaur is going to have to shield this if it wants to keep itself going in this matchup, but Dark Pulse is going to do enough damage to knock it out, and then comes a Poliwrath. Why won't this thing die, dude? Can we just retire Poliwrath? Can we just delete it from the game entirely, please? I'm so tired of seeing this Pokemon, dude. Oh my goodness, I hate this thing. It just, looking at it just bothers me. Well, unfortunately, now the opponent can make a call to go for Scald or Icy Wind, and it's going to do a lot of damage, but the double resisted damage, but the opponent falls for it. They swap in the Golem, and now yes! Yes, it comes Nidoqueen to just fully farm this thing down, and even though Nidoqueen has a ground typing, this energy is going to rip apart the Poliwrath, and you know what? That's all I needed to see today, man. If I could get anything to happen today, it was the opponent's Poliwrath getting beaten up by Nidoqueen, and I love it. Good game. We got Dusknoir into a Weezing in this next game, and Weezing having Brutal Swing makes us a really difficult matchup. This would be a really good opportunity to instantly switch, because if we go for 3 Astonishes, the opponent can get to a Brutal Swing before you finish that 3rd Astonish. So going straight into the Muck here is probably the better option, if I'm being honest, but thankfully they didn't throw. If the opponent doesn't throw, yes, the energy's nice. It gives you a bit of a head start to deal with this Cobalion, which is definitely an issue for Muck, as it basically walls the everything. Like, Cobalion is like one of the hardest answers known to man for Dark Poisons, because it typically walls most of or all of the moveset. Now, going for a Dark Pulse here would be kind of nice. Do you live the Sacred Sword? I think you do. I think we live the Sacred Sword here. We're going to be able to go for one more Dark Pulse. Again, would have liked to see one Poison Jab thrown and then the move. But again, just want to make sure you get this damage off. I don't hate this. So going to be able to farm down, hopefully, with the Dusknoir before the opponent's Cobalion can get to a move. No, they just come straight in with a Weezing. Opponent is just not wanting to let this Dusknoir get to work. Now, Brutal Swing is going to do quite a bit of damage. Unfortunately, that was a cap tie here. So opponent doing a very risky but plays off well play here. And then comes Nidoqueen, and that's going to force him to go for another Brutal Swing. Not going to do a whole lot here. And I would assume at this point, based on the way the opponent is playing, that they are not going to be able to safely deal with the Dusknoir in the back, because they just bring in the Weezing here. And what that tells me is that the energy from the Dusknoir is worrisome to them. So they're going to come in with the Cobalion. We're just going to fire off this Earth Power right off the bat. Not waiting for it. Just go for it. Boom! Yes! Take it out. Oh, a Pori, what? Oh my good trainer. Yes, yes. This trainer and I are good friends here. We're going to be really good friends, because Porygon-Z, oh yes, I love it. Now, opponent's Porygon-Z is unfortunately the last thing alive here for this team, and that means that they're not going to have a chance to clear these Poison Fang debuffs. So I really like this play here by Julio to shield up the Nidoqueen and get as much value as possible out of this Nidoqueen here, and go for these Poison Fangs, make the opponent force that energy. They have to get to a full nuke like a Blizzard in order to be able to knock out the Dusknoir, and these Astonishes are honestly ripping through. The opponent, again, they have to throw the nuke in order to take this out, and that means that the Nidoqueen is going to be able to get to the Poison Jab farm down. That's going to be a good game. Well played. Next battle against very esteemed trainer Pokegames, running a Cacturn here in this Ultra League meta. And then we're going to see the Muck come in, and a lot of frame drop. My goodness, dude. Holy mother of frame drops! I don't know if any moves were actually missed there, but my goodness, but Pokegame's out here playing some spice. Homie's got the Cacturn and Shadow Zapdos core here playing in the Ultra League, but unfortunately the one downside to the Shadow Zapdos is that it absolutely cannot handle fast move pressure if there is even, you know, if it's not like one of those like Psycho Cuts or anything, right? Like Poison Jab just ripping through the Shadow Zapdos, and now you got to come in with a Heliolisk. Heliolisk is going to absolutely have a problem if it has to take an Acid Spray induced Dark Pulse here, but going for double Dark Pulse might have just been the play, just to guarantee that damage. But having Nidoqueen really against the rest of this team just sort of makes this whole thing easy mode at this point. You could even bring in the Dusknoir here, and that's exactly what Julio does. There's absolutely no value to Dusknoir, and Julio sees that Nidoqueen is just the way to win. Parabolic Charge, though, does unfortunately let the Heliolisk get going, but it's going to all be for naught here, as Nidoqueen is going to be able to just farm down this Heliolisk. But the one downside here is that this Heliolisk will be able to get to a Breaking Swipe, and if that gets the attack drop, you know, just like in the last game, which it does, unfortunately, the Julio here does not have a way to swap out this Nidoqueen and clear that attack debuff, so we're going to have to rely on the Poison Fang debuffs, which it looks like are not going to be a problem for us here, and we're going to be able to take out this team here. Very spicy game here, but very, very fun. Well played. Getting into this next game, we got a Shadow Golurk. Now, this Shadow Golurk probably has Mud Slap, which means it's going to take super effective damage from the Astonishes, and staying in with the Licky Licky and going into the Muck here. Now, if the Licky has, if the Licky here has Earthquake, and it does, this is going to be a problem here, and there's no real good way. Again, this is another one of those things that I guess is technically not very good for this team, is an Earthquake Licky Licky, because it has that coverage to deal with poison types, and also just completely is, you know, walling the Dusknoir. So it's going to come down to whether or not this is another Earthquake, and it is. The opponent double sending the nukes, and I'm not really sure. I mean, yes, the Shadow Balls will do enough, but you're going to come in with a Nidoqueen. That makes sense to me. Now, we have to shield up potentially another Earthquake, or just go for the Poison Fang here to prevent the opponent from getting to a move. Now, I don't know, however, if this is going to be enough. It's just enough to knock out, and hopefully that was the only answer that this opponent had. Nope, they have a Skuntank, but Skuntank has Poison-type fast move damage, which does mean that their fast moves are resisted here. So there is absolutely an opportunity here for this Dusknoir to take the opponent by surprise, maybe going for that Shadow Ball. Opponent not respecting it. Shield up the shield up the Dusknoir and watch it get to work against this Golurk. Trailblaze not going to be enough here to take any damage off of this Dusknoir, even though we're shielding it anyway. And look at the damage. Just go for fast moves. Just go for the fast moves. Oh my goodness, dude. Now, can Nidoqueen triple resisted Poison Fang down? Did the opponent doesn't have Earth Power, they have Shadow Punch. They usually have Shadow Punch and Earth Power. Can we get to this farm down? This is going to be a close one. I don't know. This is going to, oh my goodness. Poison Fang, gonna get the shield, gonna get the farm down. It's a tie game. Oh, that's a way to end a video right there, man. Tie game. Now, that was quite crazy. Very nicely done here. Julio MC sending in these games. Shadow Dusknoir doesn't care about your typings. Even though it's resisted, that stuff still hurts. Very fun games here. Again, thank you, trainer, for sending in these battles. Hopefully you guys thought these were fun. I'm not sure. I'm not confident. There are definitely some meta picks here that would break this team. So if you want to change a couple of things around, but I think that Shadow Dusknoir is a very fun, interesting pick if you have the XL candy for it, as it did have a community day a couple of years ago, but has not been exactly the most obvious thing to keep lying around in your storage here. So let me know in the comments if you try this team and if you have well with it. I'm looking on maybe building a Shadow Dusknoir myself soon. So thank y'all very much for watching. We're gonna catch you in the next one. Bye bye.